Imagine living in a country where the majority of people survive on less than $6 a day, where owning a bicycle is a sign of wealth, electricity is a rare privilege, and the internet is an almost unattainable luxury. I'm talking about Burundi, an African nation considered the poorest in the world. Here, life is a constant battle, with entire families facing a lack of food, scarcity of basic services, and the absence of opportunities. Living in conditions of extreme poverty, the situation is so severe that the country is known as the unhappiest in the world. In today's video, we will explore the harsh reality of a resilient people who face unimaginable challenges amid almost impossible conditions. Burundi is a landlocked country located in Central Africa, bordered by Tanzania to the east and south, Rwanda to the north, and the Democratic Republic of Congo to the west. The landscape of the country is marked by mountains, green hills, and deep valleys. Covering an area of about 27,000 square kilometers, Burundi is smaller than Belgium and can easily fit within Switzerland. But don't be fooled by its small size. The country is home to over 13 million inhabitants, making it one of the most densely populated places in Africa. About 90% of the population is engaged in agriculture, which might suggest a strong agricultural economy. However, the reality is quite different. Most Burundian farmers practice subsistence farming, using archaic techniques with very limited access to modern technology. This drastically reduces productivity, and many families manage only the bare minimum to survive. The situation is worsened by climate change, with long periods of drought, and when it rains, the downpours are intense, flooding fields, destroying crops, and the country's limited infrastructure. Additionally, the lack of access to the sea hampers trade, restricting exports to a few products like coffee and tea. With this fragile economy, about 70% of the population lives below the poverty line, surviving on less than $6 a day, forcing many to take on exhausting and risky jobs in search of income. In Burundi, the idea of a home is very different from what one might imagine. Outside urban areas like the capital, Bujumbura, most people live in makeshift huts constructed from straw and other natural materials. These homes don't have beds. The ground is where many families, often composed of up to 10 people, sleep together. With few resources for any comfort, a bed is a rare item, and the floor becomes the only rest spot after long workdays. Besides housing difficulties, electricity is a distant privilege for almost the entire population. Less than 8% of households in Burundi have access to electricity, meaning that nights are marked by total darkness. The absence of light limits daily routines and turns nightlife into an almost non-existent scene. Supermarkets and stores close early, and walking the streets after sunset feels like entering an empty field where the only illumination comes from the stars in the sky. While in many parts of the world bicycles are seen as a common means of transport, in Burundi they are a symbol of wealth and status. Owning a bicycle is like having a luxury car. For men, it also represents a social advantage, as it is common for a man with a bicycle to be considered a good marriage prospect. These bicycles, which are used for leisure elsewhere, serve as true cargo vehicles in Burundi. Farmers pile large amounts of bananas, ranging from 100 to 150 kilograms, forming yellow mountains that defy gravity. They travel long distances, often barefoot and facing steep hills, and to gain a bit more speed, some cyclists risk clinging to the backs of trucks, a dangerous practice that illustrates the ingenuity and resilience of the Burundian people. Women also travel long distances on foot, carrying everything from buckets of concrete to large containers of water on their heads. Burundi's economy is one of the most fragile in the world, with a per capita GDP of approximately $500 a year. This means many Burundians live on the equivalent of $6 a day, which is insufficient to meet basic needs. This situation is even more severe because 70% of the population suffers from malnutrition, and the average life expectancy is only 50 years. Hunger is a constant reality, with entire families having little or no access to nutritious food. Burundi has held the title of the world's poorest country for almost 62 consecutive years, according to reports from the World Bank, IMF, and various other international institutions. Bananas are a staple food and one of the most cultivated products in Burundi, significantly impacting the economy and daily life. In markets, especially in areas like Bujumbura, bananas are sold in abundance, meeting constant demand. This versatile fruit is consumed fresh, cooked, and even turned into traditional beer called urwarwa. The banana trade supports many families and drives local markets, but its transportation is arduous due to the lack of adequate infrastructure. This banana market reflects the ingenuity and hard work of the Burundian people, who, with limited resources, turn this fruit into a vital source of food and income, sustaining the local economy in a country where poverty prevails. Corruption is one of the biggest barriers to progress in Burundi, frequently ranking among the countries with the worst indices in Transparency International's rankings. This chronic mismanagement of resources severely limits the population's access to essential services such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure, making it even harder to improve living conditions. With already scarce resources being diverted or mismanaged, corruption prevents the country from advancing in critical areas, exacerbating poverty and perpetuating the cycle of hardship faced by the population. Amid so many difficulties, Burundi has a natural gem that is a source of pride for its people and a spectacle for visitors: Lake Tanganyika. This is the second largest freshwater lake in the world by volume and the second deepest, second only to Lake Baikal in Russia. The lake covers about 32,000 square kilometers and spans 4 countries: Burundi, Tanzania, Zambia, and Congo. More than just a stunning landscape, it is one of the largest freshwater reserves on the planet, home to over 250 species of fish found only in its waters. This unique ecosystem makes Tanganyika a fascinating destination, attracting both local fishermen and researchers. Burundi has 2 capitals: Gitega, the political capital, and Bujumbura, the economic capital. In 2018, the government transferred political functions to Gitega as a way to decentralize power and encourage development in other regions. However, Bujumbura, located on the shores of Lake Tanganyika, remains the country's economic center, housing important businesses and industries. Additionally, Bujumbura is known for its vibrant energy and central market, where traders sell a variety of products, from fresh food to handicrafts. Infrastructure is one of Burundi's major challenges in its development. It is one of the few countries in the world without a railway network, which significantly limits the transportation of goods and makes trade more expensive. With roads as the only mobility option, the poor condition of most of them makes transportation difficult, especially in rural areas. Paved roads are scarce, and during the rainy season, many dirt roads become virtually impassable, impacting daily life and the supply of goods. Furthermore, access to basic services such as electricity and piped water is very limited, with only a small percentage of the population having regular access to these services. The country relies heavily on external aid to finance improvements, but economic and political instability delays progress. However, there are long-term projects and plans to improve connectivity and infrastructure, including the possible construction of a railway line to connect the country to its neighbors, such as Tanzania and Rwanda, which would facilitate regional trade and bring new economic opportunities. In Burundi, creativity extends even to beverages. Banana beer, called urwarwa, is an ancient tradition made with ripe bananas that are mashed, mixed with water, and left to ferment. In some rural communities, even grass is added to the fermentation process to speed up production. The result is a sweet, mildly alcoholic drink, consumed at parties, weddings, and social gatherings. Burundi's culture is deeply rooted in its traditional drums, which represent centuries of tradition and power. Traditionally, they were played at important ceremonies, including harvests and royal celebrations. Only men from specific lineages had the right to play the drums, which symbolized power and tradition. In 2014, UNESCO recognized Burundi's drums as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Today, they are still played at cultural events and international competitions, symbolizing Burundian pride and identity. Additionally, the drum dance, a performance that combines rhythm, energy, and tradition, is performed at special events and involves groups of men playing drums while executing synchronized and vigorous movements, celebrating important moments. The drum dance is unique for its intensity and precision, and is often presented at local events, enchanting audiences and reinforcing community spirit. In Burundi, the daily struggle for survival is a reality for many, but at the same time, rich traditions and vibrant dances loaded with meaning reveal the strength and spirit of the Burundian people. If you were moved by the challenges faced by this nation, let us know what impacted you the most. If you watched until the end of this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This encourages me to continue bringing more content. Until the next video.